Hi everybody, this is Luck God. I've got a 75 point bat rep for you today. It's Haley1 in the Sons of Tempest theme versus Thagrosh2 in the Oracles of Annihilation theme. This is week 2 of the CID Thagrosh. The main differences being he's got the Dragon's Blood spell, he's been given Secpawn Lesser, I think he's got an extra point of armour, and the Scythean and the Carnivean are cheaper. So onto the lists. We've got Thagrosh2 running with a Succubus, a Carnivean, 2 Raeks, a Scythean, a Seraph, a Shredder and Typhon. He's got 2 free Forsakens and a Spell Martyr, and then a max unit of the pot. So he's starting with his upkeeps out, so Dragon's Blood is up on Typhon, giving it extra armour, and Aggravator is up on Thagrosh. He also gets Apparition on the Spawning Vessel due to the theme. So my list is my standard Haley1 Sons of the Tempest list that I've been running for on and off for just over, coming up for a year now, since the theme came out really. The only new addition is Folk, since he came out in December and is now painted. So it's Haley1 running a Hurricane, 2 Gunmage Captain Adepts, 2 Gunmage Riflemen, and then we've got Lieutenant Bastion Folk, which is the new character, Gunmage with the spray gun, 2 units of Gunmages with the command attachments, the Black 13th, and a full unit of Tempest Blazers. So Legion turn 1. Most of his war beasts run up. The Carnivean does Spiny Growth, Typhon does excessive healing, Thagrosh and the Seraph both slipstream things up. The Raeks tow each zone on the left and the right. The Scythean, is off in the wood on the right. It's remaining out of line of sight from anything in my army, and most of his army is out of range of my guns at this point. And the pot is positioned off on the left behind the house. So Cygnar turn 1, I move up quite conservatively. Haley puts Arcane Shield on the Hurricane and stays out of the Carnivean's 21-inch threat with its Assault Spray. Most of my gun mages stay out of this threat as well, except for a few of the regular gun mage unit on the right. A couple of them are in range for the spray, but I figure if he wants to trade a Carnivean to kill a couple of gun mages, I'm fine with that. I'm very conservative with the Tempest Blazers. They all sit in the water terrain off to the right. I make sure to keep everything in my army within Haley1's control range, so if she wants to feat next turn, then it will be nice and easy to do so. And that's pretty much it. So Legion turn 2, he's quite conservative here. The Scythean stays in the wood, out of line of sight of all of my gun mages. The Raek on the right, however, runs to engage some of my gun mages and stays in the zone to contest. The Raek on the left goes into the rubble terrain patch. Typhon excessive heals again and gets given a cloud by the Succubus. Thagrosh is using excessive healing as well and sitting in the patch of rubble, so he's got a really good defense as well. The pot continue to move up and apparate to move up each turn, getting closer and closer. And that's pretty much it for him. So Cygnar turn 2, there's not quite enough in range for it to be worth Haley1 popping her feet this turn, so she loads up the Hurricane with focus, and then it walks slightly back a bit, so it's outside of Typhon's threat range in melee, which is 12 inches using Slipstream, and he shoots down the objective, scoring me 1 point. Haley puts Deadeye on the unit of gun mages to the left and moves up to stay out of kill box. She's camping 2 focus at this point. The unit of gun mages on the left all aim at, well, some of them aim, most of them walk up, I would have liked to walk them all up into the zone, but some of them were further back and wouldn't have been able to get into the left hand zone anyway. So they all move up and start shooting into the Raek. The ones at the front that are within range do Thunderbolt until I get lucky, and it's defense 19 in the rubble, so I need 12s to hit most of the time. Eventually I get a crit which knocks it down, and then that causes the Raek to die to the rest of the shots from them and the rifleman. The Raek on the right that's engaging two of my gun mages is a little bit more of a problem. So I move the gun mages up so they're all into the zone, and the two that were already engaging it move forward to still be in its melee range, but to clear a bit of space. They all, two of the two that are engaged shoot into the Raek and do some damage. All the other gun mages don't really have decent targets. I don't want to hit and hurt any of his beasts at the back, because Aggravator will allow him to move up and extend his threat range, which is not what I want. So most of them don't bother shooting at all. I then have Bastion Falk aim, and he sprays at the gun mage that was engaging the Raek on the left, and he hits and kills the gun mage, but he also hits and applies rune marked onto the Raek, and then my gun mage captain Adept walks into combat and finishes it off. And that's pretty much it for this turn, apart from some positioning with the Black 13th and the Tempest Blazers to keep them out of threat ranges so they don't all just die to one spray. So I pass the turn. Oh, and I go up 3 control points this turn, scoring my rectangle, the circle on the right, and the objective, and he scores 1 for his rectangle at the back. So Legion turn 3, and he rears back all his fury. He sends the Scythean a little bit further forward into the zone, still in the wood completely, to give it a bit of a boost to its defense, but he does this knowing that I could just easily Thunderbolt it out if he just towed the zone, but he didn't really have the threat to get to anything meaningful with it this turn. His Seraph shoots and kills one of my gun mages in the right hand zone. His Shredder animuses so it can move through the wood, and charges one of my gun mages, but he fails to kill it. The Succubus gives it a cloud to sit in to make it a little bit harder to kill. On the left hand side, Thagrosh moves up and sprays a gun mage that was towing both my left circle zone and the rectangle on my side, so he kills that gun mage, and then the Carnivean moves into the zone, spiny growths, and sprays and kills a gun mage. The pot moves up, and thanks to the corpse that I gave it for killing the Raek, and the corpse that it got from Thagrosh killing a gun mage, the lunch ladies just kill one of their unit to fill up the pot to 3, and then it pops out a Shredder which charges and kills another gun mage, which means the left hand side is now controlled by the pot unit, so he will be scoring that at the end of the turn. Typhon charges my objective and kills it, and also sprays and kills a gun mage. He excessive heals, uses Animus for excessive healing as well. So he's contesting my zone, so I don't score anything this turn, and he scores 1, making the score 3-2. So Cygnar turn 3, and this looks like a good feat turn for me, so I decide to do that. Haley only allocates 1 focus to the Hurricane, giving it 2 total. She upkeeps Arcane Shield on it, of course. So she walks up, pops her feet, and then the Hurricane moves slightly to the left, so it has line of sight to the Carnivean. He sticks his line of sight so the Carnivean is in both arcs. On his right hand side, he uses his the PAL 16 slam gun to knock down Typhon. He boosts to hit. Doesn't bother boosting damage, so it might have done a point or so. It didn't really matter to me at this time. He then uses the left-hand side gun to shoot at the Carnivean, and he boosts hit on this one again. If it did damage, it was just a bonus. It was mainly to knock it down. And then he uses his feet attack to do another gunshot with that side and shoots the pot, which destroys it. He fires his the AoE 4 lower PAL guns into one of them goes into the pot to finish it off actually, and the other one goes into the Carnivean, knowing that PAL 13 wasn't really going to do much to Typhon. I then have the Gun Mage Captain Adept on the right. He moves up and shoots the Scythean to put flare onto it. Because it's in the wood, I wanted it to be as easy as possible for my gun mages to kill. And then I think he puts his second shot into that as well. Bastion Folk goes up and he puts his rune marked spray onto Typhon, which makes it a PAL 14 spray. It does some chip damage. Then I have the Black 13th walk up on the left, and they all shoot into Typhon. So starting at PAL 12, 2 shots at PAL 12, 2 shots at PAL 13, and then 3 shots at PAL 14. They all go into Typhon choosing brutal damage, and they do decent damage to him. Obviously his excessive healing is mitigating it a bit, but they all did chip damage over time. So my unit of gun mages on the right, after the Scythean got hit by the Gun Mage Captain Adept, I think it aggressed up and moved up. So they walked into combat with it, and due to Pistoleer they get 3 dice damage. I chose Crit Brutal, and I didn't really get any crits, but they did decent damage to it. The Gun Mage on the left didn't really manage to kill the Shredder, so that's still there. The Tempest Blazers then walk in, and a few of them manage to get within melee range of the Scythean, and they manage to finish off the Scythean, and one of them hurts the Seraph, so it moves up to engage my gun mages. A couple of the Tempest Blazers manage to get line of sight to Typhon. I do mess up a bit because I don't get all of them to shoot into Typhon that are left after the Scythean dies, so that was a bit of a mistake. But the ones that couldn't shot and killed the Forsaken that was behind the woods on the right. They reposition to spread out so they don't get easily killed by Thagrosh's sprays. And then on the left I have my unit of gun mages. Well, there's only 3 of them left at this point. 2 of them charge the Carnivean, and the command attachment charges the Shredder. The Shredder easily dies, and the Carnivean takes some damage, but is still relatively fine, really. At this point I ask how much health the Typhon has at this point, and it turns out it only had 3 health left, so I just had my gun mage rifleman shoot him, and because excessive healing happens when the shot has been fully resolved, he dies before he can heal, because he only had 3 health left, which is pretty good for me. So I score again on my zone, the rectangle at the bottom, but so does he, because I messed up and couldn't get any Tempest Blazers in to contest his zone, so the score stays relatively the same. Me up by 1 point, I believe it's 4-3 at this point. So Legion turn 4. The Spell Martyr charges the gun mage that was engaging the Carnivean, the right hand one, and manages to roll the 8 it needs to hit, and he kills it. Thagrosh then walks up and slipstreams the Carnivean forward, and then sprays, killing the last 2 gun mages of the left hand unit. and he is straddling the left-hand circle zone, and he's also in his back rectangle zone, so he will be scoring both of them this turn. The Seraph on the right manages to kill the gun mage that was engaging the shredder, and then his Succubus moves up and casts influence at my gun mage captain Adept. It hits, and then she shoots Lynch from the Black 13th in the back, killing him, which clears the charge lane for the Carnivean to charge in to my Hurricane. And with Manifest Destiny up from Thagrosh, I forgot he popped that as well, and also Thagrosh popped his feet this turn. The Carnivean goes to town on the Hurricane. Its assault shot missed Haley, which was good for me, but manages to hit and damage Hurricane. At the end of all of his attacks, he's taken out just over half of the Hurricane's boxes, and then the Shredder charges in, and it has flank, and it manages to do some decent damage, despite it being dice minus 12, I think it is. Yeah, dice minus 12. And then the feet attacks from the Carnivean and the Shredder do some more damage and leave the Hurricane with about a quarter of its health left. It still has its right arm and cortex movement and the substructure, so it's still fully operational except for the left arm, which is all it really needs. So at the end of his turn he goes up 2 points and I don't get any points, which means he's now one ahead of me, so I think the score is now 5-4 to him. So Cygnar 10-4. I have Haley upkeep Arcane Shield again. She fully loads up the Hurricane. It then punches with its bad fist into the Carnivean, does a little bit of damage, and then it punches with its good fist until the Carnivean is dead, and manages to have enough focus to buy an attack on the Shredder and kill that in one hit as well. My Gun Mage unit surrounds... sorry, actually, no, Bastion Fort goes first and hits the Seraph with a rune shot for the rune marked for the +2 damage, and then the Gun Mage Captain Adept attempts to flare it but fails, he misses to hit, and then the unit of Gun Mages attack the Seraph. They do some decent damage to it, take out a system I think they take out its body, but they don't kill it, and then the Tempest Blazers walk up, shoot down the Succubus, and then reposition into the back zone, so Thagrosh can't score there anymore. Now I've played against my buddy Luke before, and I made the mistake of attacking Thagrosh and allowing him to spawn a lesser which contested a zone, which I wanted to score. So this time I don't bother with that, I just run the Black 13th into the left hand zone to score it, and move the Rifleman to the back of the zone, make it a bit harder for him to be shot. So this means this turn I score 2 points, one from the left hand zone, one from the bottom zone, which tips it back into my favour, so the score goes to, I think it's 6-5 to me. I think it is. Alrighty. So Legion turn 5. The Seraph moves up and tows my rectangle zone at the bottom and kills a Gun Mage, so I won't be scoring down there anymore. Thagrosh moves up. He goes to hit Ryan from the Black 13th. Misses with both his initials, and he misses with a bort attack. Hits on his second bort attack, so he missed 3 needing 7s in a row, which is a bit unfortunate for him. He was trying to kill the Black 13th, so I can't score that zone anymore. He debates whether to cast a Scourge at the remaining member or stay or keep his Fury. In the end, he puts up Dragon's Blood on himself for +2 armor instead, and passes the turn to me. So I score nothing this turn, he scores nothing this turn. So Cygnar turn 5. Haley fully allocates to Hurricane. She then goes first, casts Deadeye on the Hurricane, and then walks away to the right. I then have The Hurricane aim and boost its operational sides slam knockdown gun into Thagrosh, and with 4 dice to hit, I hit easily. I do decent damage, and that makes him pop out a lesser, so I think he pops out a shredder or something. I then hit him with the rest of... I hit him with the second slam gun. Because he's knocked down, it's fairly easy for Hurricane to still hit him. Sack pawns to the shredder, which with only 1 dice damage, it's dice plus 3 though, so it still does decent damage to the shredder. And then the Hurricane secondary guns also shoot into Thagrosh, and both of those get sack pawned to the shredder as well, but it does kill the shredder. I then have the Rifleman shoot into Thagrosh and do 3 auto damage. The last member of the Black 13th that's alive, Watts, he walks in and chooses brutal damage and does 4 dice damage, POW 10, so dice minus 10 I think it is at this point, and does really good damage into Thagrosh. So that and Hurricane's gun, I think it leaves Thagrosh on only a few boxes left. And then my Gun Mage Captain Adept just walks up and shoots a brutal damage into him and finishes Thagrosh off. Because he's already knocked down, he doesn't get his tough roll, and that's a Cygnar victory. So this was a good game. I enjoyed it quite a lot. The first few turns were a bit cagey by both of us, neither one of us really wanting to commit too much too early, and because I was the more ranged heavy army, I think that favoured me because I could pick and choose what I shot. Aggravator meant that I couldn't spread the damage around much. I'd have to commit to 1 warbeast at a time, which wasn't great because my army was spread out across the whole board, but I still felt that it was pretty good for me. I came very close to not killing Typhon, and that would have been extremely bad for me because Thagrosh would have healed him up, and then he would have got Typhon and the Carnivean into the Hurricane, and Hurricane would not have survived, and I think that would have been game at that point. So Typhon dying really did matter, and the main piece that allowed this to happen was Bastion Falk giving all of my gun mages +2 damage, and the Hurricane knocking him down, so his defense 13 wasn't as relevant. I mean, I have ways around defense, but it just knocking him down makes it so much easier. I think my buddy's putting a battle report up on the CID forums. I'm not sure as and when he's actually going to get around to that, but in terms of my thoughts on the CID, I think that the reduction in cost of the heavies is a good way to go. It does bring them more in line with the rest of things in the game. Thagrosh's changes, I think, are pretty damn good. I think he could stand to go up to Mat 8, and I don't think that would be out of line. I think that would more reflect the monster that he's supposed to be. But otherwise, I think his rules are pretty solid, and his feat actually mattered in this game. It didn't in a game we played previously. Yeah, so thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, give it a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Just for people that aren't aware, my blog turned 5 years old this month, and I'm running a competition to celebrate. I've got a video on it about it on the channel, and links to how to enter and stuff like that are available there. Alright, so catch you later. Bye.